What's up, pet people? My name is Lexa and welcome back for today's video. So for this week, we are going to be going over different human foods that are toxic or dangerous to cats. Now, I'm going to be doing the top 10 in my opinion. There are a lot of other foods or substances that are toxic to cats, but these are just the top 10 most dangerous to cats that I'm going to be going over today. Next week, I'm going to be doing a plants version of this, so I'm going to be doing top 10 most toxic plants to cats. But for today, we're just going to be sticking with food. So if you're interested in that, have a cat, or want to learn more about this, please keep watching. Alright, so getting right into this week's video, as I said, we're going to be going over the top 10 most toxic and dangerous foods for your cat. Now, this isn't going to be in any particular order. I thought about doing it in order from like least to most toxic, but there's really no set way to determine that because you have to do it based on how much of the food that your cat eats, what type it was, and how long it's been eating this, how the size of your cat. It's just a lot of different things. So the level of toxicity depends on not only what the food was, but like also the weight of your cat, how much it's had. Just the level of danger goes up the more of these foods that the cat eats, obviously, but again, there are other outside factors to determine that. So I'm just going to be doing it in no particular order. I'm going to name the food. I have them grouped in batches of 2, like what's closest to each other, and based also off of the symptoms that they provide. I'm going to list the symptoms, the food, and then at the very end I'm going to go over what you need to do if your cat does eat these things. Obviously, with all of these items, you will need to contact your vet. But I'm also going to go over ways to keep your cats from eating these things, and just little simple solutions to make sure that this can be prevented. So getting right into it, the number one, in my opinion, well, like I said, I'm not doing this in any order, but the first thing I'm going to be talking about is chocolate and caffeine. Now, a lot of people know that chocolate is toxic to dogs, but it's also incredibly toxic to cats, as is caffeinated drinks such as coffee, sodas, just certain teas, anything with caffeine. And that's because they both contain a type of compound called methylxanthine. I'm spelling it right here, but methylxanthines. And what that does is it causes digestive issues within your animal, and this type of food normally works not as quick as others, but depending on how much it has ingested will depend on the level of danger it can cause to your cat. Now, things that it can do, the symptoms involved with this are, of course, vomiting, high body temperature, tremors, seizures, which kind of goes with muscle tremors, abnormal heartbeat, meaning their heartbeat will increase, excessive thirst, dehydration, and diarrhea. Now, dehydration is often caused by vomiting and diarrhea, but it can also just happen due to extra water trying to, take the, get it out of the blood system, basically. It's just, I don't know. You get dehydrated if you eat these things and you're a cat. So chocolate and caffeinated drinks are definitely, you need to keep these away from cats at all costs. Now, this goes into kind of the drink thing, goes into alcohol. You need to make sure that your cats don't have alcohol and raw dough, meaning bread dough or anything with yeast. The reason I paired these two together is because once your cat, if it were to ingest yeast, it actually can cause expansion of the stomach, and it'll eventually turn into alcohol in the stomach of your cat because of the certain acids they have. Now, this is highly dangerous. It might not always cause death with the lower amounts, like all of these different items, but you definitely need to keep your cat away from these. The symptoms involved with this one are very similar to that of chocolate and caffeinated drinks, but it goes a little more severe. So it's vomiting and diarrhea again, which leads to dehydration, muscle tremors, seizures. They're very disoriented if they have alcohol, obviously, and then of course it can lead to coma and death. In most cases of what I did read online based with the alcohol and yeast thing, you are more likely to have your cat in a coma And if they recover from it, they will have some problems after that for the rest of their life from a couple articles I read, but it's just more often than not, this will cause death in your cat, so make sure to keep them away from this. Continuing on with the drinks, we're going to go into milk and dairy products. These are my next two. A lot of people think, so the myth of cats drinking milk their whole life, I don't know where that came from. I was told that as a child by one of my relatives. They're like, oh, give the cat milk, it'll be good for them. The truth is that cats' bodies, after they mature and get out of the kitten stage, they cannot process the lactose protein. So basically think of it as your cat being lactose intolerant. The same thing will happen with your cat that happens with humans who are lactose intolerant. And that goes with other dairy products such as cheese, cottage cheese, sour cream. I don't know why you'd give your cat that, but just anything with dairy, your cat is not meant to digest. As kittens, they do have the ability to process the lactose protein from their mother, so only cat milk. But after that, giving them milk will cause quite a few digestive issues. It's not really lethal. It can be lethal because of the dehydration that comes with these stomach issues such as, diarrhea, vomiting, just not a loss of appetite due to having an upset stomach. Those things can cause dehydration, and that can be the demise of your cat. But overall, milk will not kill your cat. It's just very bad for them. So please don't watch those movies and the videos where they give the cat a saucer of milk and be like, oh, that's cute, and don't do it to your cat, because it's not good for them. Milk is truly not good for cats. Again, don't know where that myth came from. It's something that I have known my whole life. Just, oh, milk's okay for cats. And then once, I got a cat of my own, I was like, actually, hold on. Whoever said this is a liar. It's very bad for them. So, yeah, no milk. Don't do milk. Don't do dairy products. Don't be feeding your cat cheese or anything like that. It's not meant for them. Don't do it. So, moving on from milk, these are the kind of less common things in my opinion. Normally you don't hear about your cat eating these, but it is highly toxic to them, and that is grapes and raisins. Now, this I heard before for dogs. I know grapes and raisins are toxic to dogs, but they're also highly, highly toxic to cats. They're toxic for dogs, yes, it causes them a lot of issues. But they are highly toxic to cats. One grape can cause kidney failure in 12 hours for a cat. It just complete kidney shutdown. I don't know what it is about grapes and raisins that causes this to happen. All I know is that they're very, 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 very bad for your cat. Some of the symptoms to look for and to see if maybe your cat did have a grape or a raisin, or if you know they had one, immediately just go to the vet. But some of the symptoms you need to look for are lethargy, when they're tired, overly tired. Diarrhea and vomiting again can lead to dehydration, so you need to definitely make sure that doesn't happen. They have a reduced appetite, stomach pain, meaning they won't let you touch their sides or their stomach, a decrease in urine, so they might not be using the bathroom, which is also a sign of dehydration from the diarrhea and the vomiting, and then seizures, and of course, coma, death. It's very, very, very bad for your cats, like I said, to have grapes or raisins, and as I said, within 12 hours normally, they will either need to go to the vet, they need to be at the vet as soon as but they will decline their health so quickly to where a vet will be the only option to help them. With grapes and raisins, there's really not a whole lot you can do other than take them to the vet. And that's I've never heard of a cat eating a grape, but just in case your cat does, or you're trying to be one of those people who puts your cat on a vegan diet, which is a whole nother bad option of your life, but just don't do grapes, don't do raisins. It's pretty simple. And that leads to my last one, which is another weird little food group of foods that you would not think that your cat would eat. And that is onions and garlic. Now, this doesn't cause immediate death or problems. Well, it'll cause problems, just not like immediately. So what garlic and onions do is they cause the red blood cells to become damaged. They will weaken the immune system of the cat, and because the red blood cells are damaged, they become anemic. Now, cats being anemic is, there are cats that are naturally anemic, but more often than not, you're not going to be like, oh, my cat's anemic. Same way you're less likely to have a diabetic cat. It's a thing that can happen, but it's not normal. So it's something that you need to watch out for, and it can cause a lot of problems. It can cause extreme weakness, a reduced appetite. One way you can tell if they are anemic is they have very pale or white gums. Their urine would be bright orange or dark red, which if you don't look at the litter box, you might not be able to tell that one as quickly as the other symptoms. And then, of course, with our being tired, I'm not even going to try and say that word anymore, but being tired, those are some of the, number one symptoms of a cat. Like, if they don't want to play, if they don't do anything but lay there, if they just get up to maybe eat a little or drink a little and then lay back down, that's not normal symptoms of a cat, so I definitely recommend getting them checked out. As I said, anemia is not going to immediately kill your cat, but it is definitely very, very bad for them. So I would make sure to, as I said, go to a vet. You will have to get blood work done to determine this. They can tell if there's blood issues by looking at the gums, but to tell exactly what is wrong with them, you have to have blood work done. Which might cost a lot, but it's definitely worth it to know that your cat is able to be healthy. And I'm going to add one more. It's not like a human food, particularly. It's dog food. I know I went over my 10 limit, but it's dog food. Do not feed your cat dog food. If you're out of cat food and have a dog, don't go feeding your cat dog food. That's bad for them. It's not toxic. It's not going to kill them, it's not going to kill them immediately. But if you feed your cat dog food in the long run, they will die pretty slowly and painfully, because cats and dogs obviously are different. I shouldn't have to say that, but I do. They have different nutrient level needs. Cats need more vitamin A, they need taurine, they need higher protein levels than dogs. They require a lot more vitamins and acids in their food because their bodies don't produce it as much. Now, lower levels of vitamin A particularly cause heart disease in cats, and then this is the same with protein. It can also cause heart disease. It can cause muscle issues. Vitamin A can cause eye issues. They can't see as clearly. It can cause glaucoma, cataracts in your cats, like young cats, which is not normal. And then, of course, dental issues such as gum rot, teeth rot. Just they need these nutrients to stay healthy, so don't deprive them of that just because dog food's cheaper or because of the fact that maybe you're out of cat food. Just go to the store and get more cat food. Don't, I'm gonna put it off for a week because I have dog food. Don't do that. Just go get more cat food. It's a lot simpler than having to pay all the vet bills to try and figure out what's wrong with your cat and then have to try and get your cat healthier again. Because these can cause lifelong issues. All of these foods can cause lifelong issues. Even if they go to the vet and get medicine to recover, they will never fully recover, especially with the grapes and raisins. The kidney damage can't be reversed. With onions and garlic, anemia can't be reversed. Whereas the alcohol and the yeast, it can be fixed, but they can still have issues with their stomach for the rest of their life. It's just, with all of these foods I have mentioned, you need to be incredibly careful. Which leads me into my next little part, which is ways you can deter your cat from eating these or keep your cat away from these. Now, cats are a little bit more mischievous than dogs. Everyone knows this. They are more curious, which is why there's a saying, curiosity killed the cat, satisfaction brought it back. Most of the time, if your cat is curious and it goes to look at something, satisfaction will make them not want to, if they find out what's there, they'll be more likely to leave it alone. But if there's food there, that's not always the case. My cat gets into cupboards and opens our drawers and stuff like that relatively regularly. Fortunately for us, my cat does not like human food. He doesn't even like cat treats, so I don't have to really worry about him eating anything he shouldn't as much as other people should. Some prevention methods I would recommend is storing it out of reach. Of course, everyone knows cats can jump incredibly high. They're very good climbers. They're agile. So putting it out of reach might not always be an option, or you can't always do that for a cat. But if you can put it out of reach, do that. Maybe cabinet-proof locks or drawer locks. Baby locks work great for that. I know cat-proofing your house isn't exactly ideal, but in my opinion, it's a lot better than them eating something they shouldn't and getting sick. You should discourage them from being on the counters whenever you're cooking. You should discourage them from being on the table. That's just kind of a normal hygiene thing, in my opinion. Yeah, cats are clean animals as far as like cleaning themselves and not making incredibly large messes, but you still don't really want them being on the surfaces that your food are gonna touch. And if you do, make sure to wipe it down after, but definitely for this, discourage them from doing that. Just like push them off, give them a little like pat. I don't want to say pat like to hit them because that's wrong also, but definitely make sure that they're not on things they shouldn't be, such as counters, tables, anywhere you might put food. Don't let them on there. Discourage them from being on there. And then the number one thing I can say for discouraging them from eating human food is, please, this is also with dogs, I'm going to do a whole another video on foods that are toxic to dogs and everything as well, but please do not, under any circumstance, feed your cat table scraps. I know people are like, oh, it's just a little treat, it's, you know, they won't notice. Do not feed your cat table scraps. If you go to someone's house and they say don't feed their pet table scraps, don't go to their house and feed them table scraps. It encourages the bad behavior. It gives them that reward thing. They're like, oh, if I beg for this, if I'm by the table, they'll feed me. And that's definitely something you want to discourage in cats and dogs, because once they get that, if you drop food, they'll immediately go for it, and you could drop something that's on that list that I just said that's toxic to them, and then you have a whole nother problem on your hands. But if you can, like I said, discourage them from being around the table or on the table and around the counter or on the counter. Discourage that, and one way you can discourage that is by not feeding table scraps. So, that's pretty much all I have to say about that. As I said, I'm going to go back in order with them. I don't know if it's going to be the order I set them in, but foods that you should not, absolutely under no circumstance, should let your cat have because it's dangerous or toxic are milk and dairy products. Here I'm gonna, nope. Okay, here's where I'm gonna put the words. Milk and dairy products, grapes and raisins, alcohol, raw dough or yeast, I kind of group those together, chocolate, caffeinated drinks, and onions and garlic. Those are the human foods that you absolutely need to make sure that your cat stays away from. And then of course dog food, but that's not a human food, so that's why I just kind of dog food. That's why I put that one last. But yeah, definitely make sure your cat stays away from those, and of course look for the symptoms. If you notice something off with your cat, go through the list of symptoms I gave and think to yourself, okay, what was my cat around? Were they around this food? Okay, they were. So here's the list of symptoms. Okay, they're displaying all the symptoms. Once they display the symptoms, or if you know they ate the food, don't wait for them to display the symptoms. Call your local poison control. Call your vet immediately, or your emergency vet. You should always have a vet and emergency vet number on hand whenever you have a cat or a dog. Call those different numbers. Make sure that you can tell them how much they ate. If you don't know how much they ate, say, I don't know how much this animal ate. Here's how much my animal weighs. Here's around when I think they ate it. Here's the symptoms they're displaying. Should I go to the vet, or what should I do? Sometimes the vet will tell you to like give your pet Pedialyte to encourage there's no dehydration, or they will tell you to immediately bring the animal in. More times than not, they will just tell you to bring the animal in. And I know some people are like, oh, I don't want to spend the money on that. Well, that's unfortunately too bad for you, because your animal ate something they shouldn't, and because of that they're gonna become incredibly ill. So like I said, call poison control, call your animal vet, and then call your emergency vet. You can look on the internet for solutions. I don't recommend it because not everyone on the internet is trusted professionals. Definitely recommend going to the professionals in a situation where your animal's life is at risk. But ultimately, you have to take that responsibility yourself and know what to do. So I hope you learned something today, as far as foods that are toxic and what to do, ways to discourage. I definitely haven't talked about cats on this channel. I don't think at all yet. But I'm going to be doing a couple more fur baby animals based on cats and dogs and things like that, because you know, I've done a lot of snake videos, and now I'm going to be doing a couple fur baby animals just to give you guys a little more variety. But thank you for watching. As always, I love your guys. I love you guys for watching and giving me support and just coming on and, you know, subscribing, liking. I'm very thankful for all of you. Hopefully you liked today's video. If there's something you have a question about or would like to see a video over, please leave it in the comments. As always, like the video, give it a big thumbs up. You've watched it all the way through already, so might as well. If you are not subscribed already, please subscribe for next week's video, which I said is going to be plants that are toxic to cats. And I hope you guys enjoyed. So yeah, thank you for watching, and see you guys next week. Bye!